Hey, peace and blessings to you. My name is Jerry B. I am the Entre Musician, and so are you. I am so delighted to welcome another team host to our podcast, Mr. Andrew Slater. You're going to love his show.
Hi, I'm Andrew Slater, and I am the Entre Musician, and so are you. And I'm a singer-songwriter and independent artist from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I write primarily from a folk slash alternative background. That's my genre there. My music has been featured on radio stations such as Heart of Indie Radio, as well as local stations throughout the area. And over the last year and a half, I've released 18 songs now. From my debut album, Sunny Morning, which had Home and Scotland Park on it, to my latest singles, Through, Forward, and There's a Seat at the Table. Much of my writing centers on relationships, anxiety, trauma, faith, hope, and love. So, wide gambit there of inspiration and the things that I write from. So, that's me. I'm Andrew Slater, and I'll be talking about writing from personal experience on my show. And hope you can join us and hope you enjoy it. Hi, I want to thank you for joining us on the Entre Musician podcast. This is Andrew Slater, and again, just a little background about myself. I'm a singer-songwriter from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Genre for me that I'm in is typically a rock slash folk slash alternative genre. I have been a songwriter for a long time. It's kind of the way I've just kind of processed life. And so I'm going to talk in today's podcast about songwriting from personal experience, and kind of just really just talk about my process and what has worked for me in the creative process. And if you are a fellow artist out there that's watching or listening to the podcast, or watching us online or on TV, I hope to shed some light on some of my processes here, and hopefully can be helpful to you too in your process. Or if you're just a fly on the wall and just want to see how a creative person goes about their business, then I think you'll enjoy this as well. So just a little bit about my story. I love music as long as I can remember. It really started playing guitar in my preteen years, 12, 13 years old there. And it kind of became a little bit of from a hobby to kind of a little bit of an obsession there. Just loved it, loved playing, put in just crazy amount of time on the electric guitar, and was in a band too. We played mainly covers and, hard music like Metallica. We're into stuff like that. I've certainly mellowed out over the years. And we played anything from Metallica and Slipknot to I started getting into softer stuff, to Simon and Garfunkel and the Beatles, Radiohead. So it was a wide range of music. So I still am that way. I do like a whole wide variety of music. That's kind of why when I talk about genres of music that I feel like I fit into, I like to always keep the term alternative there, but I don't mean that term like as in alternative, like emo rock or like hard rock like that, but like, which tends to be sometimes the definition I see nowadays, but alternative in the sense of just different, I don't know, kind of whatever floats your boat and conveying the emotion of the song that you're presenting. That's kind of the genre I feel like I fit easily in, if you can call that a genre. But anyway, yeah. So I was during that time, during those teenage years when I played in that band with some friends from high school. that was kind of when it really started. But I was even as a kid, I had journaled and had written my ideas, how I felt about things. And so I could see that it was a process that was kind of always there in my life. And then I started kind of utilizing that and really kind of developing as a songwriter really in my teenage years, as I was writing original music for the band that I played in. And yeah, that band it ended up becoming another band, and then ended up becoming something that I ended up walking away from. And I ended up doing music and went through a few things in my life, we'll just say. And then I ended up doing music in church, just primarily in religious settings for about 10 years. And but during that whole process as well, I still was writing. And most of the songs that I wrote really were kind of songs about doing life. They weren't necessarily songs that like you would sing in typical church services. So kind of like what I was creating really belonged, if I could phrase it that way, belonged more in a space of maybe secular, if you could use the right word, but just it wasn't not necessarily like church music. Like some songs, yes, but most of them no. And so I was writing, creating, and just because that was how I processed life. If I was happy, if I was sad, if I was feeling love, depression, hope, if I was processing a painful event, if I was thinking about faith, thinking about theology, it would just come out in song. So for me, it's just a way of processing life and processing, the human experience, processing my human experience and making sense of the world. So so that was always there. And then in 2018, I ended up doing some songs with Innovate Records, which I'm very thankful for that experience, because I learned a lot there. Recorded 13 songs with them, and then I wanted to look at doing some of my own production and get into that. And I released the song "Through" was the first one that I released. Well, actually, no, take that back. "Silent Night" was the first one that I had released really completely on my own. And then I did "Through," but "Silent Night" was just, it's a Christmas song. It's technically, I guess, a cover song, if you will. So it wasn't original, but yeah. So the first song I released on my own was "Silent Night." So then I went and did a song called "Through," which I'm very, very happy with how that turned out. And since then, I've done a song called "Forward," and then most recently, "There's a Seat at the Table." And at this point, just getting into doing production yourself, and learning that process as well has been a lot of fun. But so like over the last, well, dating myself here a little bit, but at this point, over the last year and a half, released 17 songs. Well, 18 now, and 18 songs now, and over the last year and a half, and then just want to just kind of keep that up, and also look to just keep sharing what I have and what I've written with you all and with the world. But yeah, so that's me. But about the process, again, it's my way of really just perceiving life and understanding the human experience, understanding my experience, understanding faith, joy, hope, sadness, and getting those things out. And it can be a cathartic thing. I will run to my guitar, run to my piano, as a sort of way of processing through something painful. And it's a gift, really. I thank God for that ability. I am a person of faith too. I'll put that out there. When I read in Psalms about David kind of pouring out his heart to the Lord, and I think it was a cathartic thing for him as well. And then also read the story of David and Saul, where David played his harp, and Saul had a spirit that was troubling him, and then Saul felt well because of David's playing. There are these spiritual realities of music, and when you look at your own life, and I look at my life, and I look at some of my favorite artists and favorite songs that helped me through hard times, that's a reality as well. Music is something that can be very, very cathartic and can have a healing quality to it. So that's something that I feel like I love about the songwriting process, because in that process, when you're creating, you as the artist have this cathartic experience, or can have it. Not all times. Sometimes you just sort of say how you feel, but I think almost always you feel better afterwards. But I mean, it's not going to always, like, it's not like you just feel perfect. There may be a time, maybe a while. I mean, there are some situations that that have been inspirational for me, that were painful experiences, that I feel like, I don't know. I feel like I could just keep writing and writing and writing about that experience, and it's not like one song. So I don't want to sound like you just write a song and you just are just everything's fine, No, but there is this healing quality to it, and there are times where it is very, very cathartic, and it can be that way, and it's a gift from God, and I love that. Something that I was told from a wise friend of mine is, if there's something that touches your heart, if you create something that touches your heart, it can touch another person's heart as well. And that's actually probably the most rewarding thing about the whole process. When you write something that has touched you, and then you share that, and it touches somebody else, it's just a wonderful thing. And that's really the best thing about the whole process, kind of beyond anything else that you could receive. When that happens, that's really just beautiful. But about my process, most songs of mine can originate with they come from a place of emotion. They come from a place of feeling, whether it be, again, pain, love, whether it be something that inspires you, like, my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time, or thinking about our relationship and looking back on that. That's love inspiring you there. Or you could look at something that maybe you're just feeling personal anxiety over a situation that you're in, and that anxiety, it has this feeling to it, and then you sit down at the instrument and you play something, whether it's the guitar. For me, it's guitar or piano, and I find a progression that matches that feeling. So if it's love, or if it's sentimentality, or if it is anxiety, depression, if it is sadness, if it's joy, finding a sound on either of those instruments that matches that feeling, that emotion. And typically that's the starting place for me. And I'll kind of go through a chord progression maybe a couple times, and play through it a few times. And then usually from that place, then some sort of melody comes, a vocal melody, and sometimes vocal melody can just be there, and it's just has no words. But like, for example, I'll use "Let It Be." I was watching the Beatles documentary that was on Disney Plus, and Paul sits down and he's doing "Let It Be," and Paul says, like, the first line, "When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, da, da, da." And then the next line, da 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 da. Like, he didn't know what he wanted to put there, but he knew how he wanted it sung. And and so that typically is how things can come about. Usually the first couple lines I can just kind of, sometimes they can just be blurted out. I just have this melody in my head, then I have some words, and then I just kind of go for it. And then what'll happen is you'll work it, then you'll come to a point in the song where you feel like you should change the progression. Maybe have a chorus, maybe a pre-chorus, and obviously have a different melody, vocal melody in that part, and then decide if you should add instrumentals in, so on and so forth, and it just is something that can be drawn out over time, and normally I like to, when I get working on a song, I like to have sort of a rounded out idea in that first session, if you will. That when you get the first idea, I like to know, oh, okay, I want this song structured, maybe a verse, then a chorus, then another verse, then maybe we'll do a chorus again, then an instrumental. But I like to be free from thinking of verse, chorus, solo, chorus, end of song. Like, I do like thinking outside the box in terms of song structure, but sometimes that is just the way to go about it. But just using that as an example, I do like to have a song layout, typically in that first session, but it can change, and it's good to let it change if you need to. Sometimes songs can just come out all sort of at once in that first session. Sometimes you end up tweaking for weeks or for months, or you just shelve an idea, and then years later you're like, oh yeah, there was something to that. Maybe I'll just pull that back out and rework it. And then all of a sudden, ta-da, bang, it's ready. It's ready to go. As far as like examples of songs that were kind of just done in the moment, with just kind of minimal tweaking, it was kind of done in just one session. Through is a song that was like that. Through is a song, it just kind of, I sat down, the emotions I was dealing with at the time, I had this anxiety, this depression. I mean, we were in the middle of the pandemic. There's all sorts of uncertainty and everything, and life's not the same. I had a lot of change in my life too. I was kind of rethinking my views on a variety of items, and just kind of had this message that love will see us through, and sort of this picture of just remember, as you're going through these bad days, remember the good days. And that's really the overarching message of the song. But then I really sing. I mean, the chorus is very direct, love will see us through, but other parts of the song I'm kind of singing about in sort of an abstract way. But the way the song came about, I just sat down with my guitar, started finger picking, just playing this little progression that really resonated with how I was feeling on the inside, and then just started singing, and really the verses and the choruses that I sang in that moment, just sitting down, were basically complete. there was a few words and a few phrases that I changed. And then I ended up adding in a pre-chorus afterwards, after that first, just sitting down and pressing record just to get the idea down, not like any sort of professional recording at that point, but just your idea. And then, I just did a little bit refining of the song, and then started working on it with good equipment in the studio and everything, and just went from there. Sometimes another way that I'll write songs, and this is a way that has worked for a couple songs of mine, is I'll get an idea like for a song, and then I'll have this emotion, and then I'll have this just one melody line, like maybe like a chorus line, or one melody line of like a verse. And so in my mind, in my heart, I'll know what I want the song to be about, and I'll have this one melody line that I think is catchy and that I feel is catchy, that I enjoy, and then I'll just build an entire song around that. So an example of that is this song I did called "There's a Seat at the Table." I wanted to write a song about a family missing a loved one, really over the holidays, having an empty seat because of a loved one that is that's just wrapped up in a negative life, or it has basically like left the family through some bad decisions. And I was watching, and actually, just to talk about inspiration, because songwriters, artists, we like to it's good to be inspired, right? And just to tell you about something that inspires me is television shows and movies can be very inspiring. I've written multiple songs. This is an example of one that in a way it was inspired from a show, but I was watching this show called Dope Sick about the opioid crisis, and that's what was part of the inspiration behind the song, and these stories of people and families that were kind of torn apart from opioid addiction, and families just hoping to get their kids back the way that they were before they got addicted. And I've through my own life, I've gotten to know some people that have struggled with that addiction, and that touched me very deeply, and that was really an inspiration behind that song. But as far like, so I knew I like had this feeling I wanted to write a song about that, about a family, sort of like a prodigal son or daughter story, having to, and thinking about a family having lost a loved one due to addiction, due to that, and I just had this one melody, like da 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 la na na da 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 na la na na, and I just had that, and I liked it. I'm like, all right, I need to put some words to that. But that was all I had. And then I sat down, I'm like, all right, what key do I want to do this little melody in? How do I want it played? What chord progression do I want to put to that? And so the song was kind of built up from that. And then it's like, all right, well, that could be the chorus. What will work as a verse? What will work as, will we do a bridge, or will we do an instrumental, or how will we lay the song out? And it just kind of went from there. Another song that was like that is this song I wrote years ago called Scotland Park. And Scotland Park started out with, there's a feeling I wanted to convey. I want to convey this feeling of freedom, this feeling of no limits, this feeling of, taking a breath of fresh air. And the theme of the song was like going on a walk in the park, just having a day in the park. And there was a literal day where I had you know, taken off to recharge my batteries. And I went to this literal park and walked around in the park and just chilled, just walked among the creation of God, the artwork of God, if you will, is kind of what I say in the song. And I wanted to capture that, and so I had this idea of what I wanted to talk about, and then I had this melody that went along with it. Um, and so that ended up becoming going down to Scotland Park. Sunny morning, got an early start, and I got no plans, just enjoying. So again, that idea of, hey, I'm just gonna take a day and recharge. No plans. No plans, no limits, just relax, and so yeah, it started that way. So sometimes these ideas can come that way, and yeah, if you're like me, lean into them, and hopefully we all us creatives and songwriters can lean into those moments and capture them. Thankfully, things aren't like it was in the old days, where you didn't have ways to kind of record ideas quickly so you don't forget them. But I also feel like in this day and age, with so much information out there, social media and everything, it's like it's easier to forget stuff. Like I almost feel like there were song ideas I had back when I was in high school, and I remember them. I remembered playing them, and I carried them through into this day and age. That was back in the day when you recorded an idea, you recorded it on a cassette tape by a cassette player from Walmart with the record. Say, oh, I got a good idea. Let me sit down with the acoustic guitar, or let's gather the band around. Let's play this. Click the button. All right, here we go. Bang, bang. So it's different then. And so the other way that things come about, there's two other ways in my process. So those two that I just talked about, those are typically the main ways. This third way, it's more rare, but sometimes this happens. On rare occasions, I feel like I have the lyrics. I get the lyrics and the chords in one go, and then I really don't change really anything from that original kind of take. Now, a song that was an example of this is there's the song I wrote called "Forward," and I talked about not being bound by structure, but being free to set up a song however you want. We actually put a trumpet solo. My good friend John Jurassa plays on the track on trumpet, and he plays bass. But I put this trumpet instrumental, and there's electric guitars and instrumental too, like right in the middle of the song. So the song's kind of laid out like verse 1, verse 2, chorus, instrumental, chorus. There's no like extra verse there before the last chorus, nothing like that. So it's a little different from your traditional first chorus, verse, chorus, solo, chorus, type layout. But I know I'm not really unique in that, but I just think it's important to kind of say, like, as a creative, like where you put, I think where you put instrumentals and how you lay your song out. I think it's stuff that you really want to think about, because you want to do your song layout in a way that best conveys the emotion, that best conveys the message of the song. And a rightly placed instrumental can cause the listener to ruminate, or can cause the listener to really internalize what was said on an even deeper way. And it's really the music and the words are all one. And I guess evidence of that, like when I talk about my process, oftentimes I do start with the music, or with a progression that I feel is saying what I want to then verbalize with my singing. But but Forward is a song that came out all in one go. I just, sat down on the acoustics, started singing, and then recorded just a little demo thing, and then redid the song like that same week in the studio, and same layout of the song. I knew I wanted an instrumental. I didn't know necessarily how I wanted to go. And then we were like, oh, let's do trumpet. And then we just went about it like that. But it was a song that, like, in terms of when I talk about everything all in one go, I'm talking about the chords and the lyrics, just all, with no tweaks. And it is rare that happens. Usually you're going to make some tweaks here and there along the way. So typically it's more in that fashion. But the last way that I'll write at times is some songs just come from writing about a certain subject, something that inspires you. Maybe you, like maybe I would journal, like a couple pages talking about a certain subject or how I feel about something, or maybe I'll write a poem or just write some stanzas, and then I'll take those stanzas and put that to music. And then once you get into that place, you may be adding and subtracting words or rephrasing things to fit with, whatever vocal melody that you like, or you'll just say, hey, you know what? We're going to add an extra word here. It's going to be a little different on this line than other lines. But again, the overarching thing is what is the emotion? What is the meaning of the song? What is the message we're trying to convey with the song? And, is that shining through? So that's the fourth way that I go about the creative process here in my songwriting. But as I said earlier, I think it's a wonderful thing whenever what you create, something that blesses your heart, blesses somebody else's. That's a real gift from God, and it's a beautiful thing. It's the best part about it all. So anyway, again, I'm Andrew Slater. I'm a singer-songwriter from Newcastle, Pennsylvania. I am the Entre Musician, and so are you. And I hope you really enjoyed this episode of the Entre Musician podcast.